What's going on, everybody? All is well in the world. Liberation Day is way in the past. It's happy times in the markets. So, of course, we're here with Scott Redler trying to figure out what's going on. Scott, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. How you doing, Michael? I feel like we haven't done this in a while, so it's a good time, I guess, at a short-term peak, perhaps, that we get this going because usually, people get all giddy and they're like, the market's back when you get to certain levels. And at this point, we're at a spot where the market's pretty damn overbought and things are working, but you have to be a little bit more careful, especially if you weren't buying, weeks ago or putting in the blood in the street account prior to this. If you're all of a sudden saying, okay, now I'm ready to buy because we have dialogue with Beijing, obviously you're not part of the Red Dog community or T3 or the Alpha team because we've been trying to play this sequence. And at this point, I felt a little bit more nervous about being short. And now it feels like, they might try and actually sell this down a little bit. So we'll see how it goes.
All right. Okay, folks, let us know where in the world you are watching from. And don't say Twitter, don't say YouTube. Like, where are you? Are you in Milwaukee? Are you in Japan? Let us know where you are watching from. And guys, make sure you spread the word, like, retweet, comment, subscribe, all that stuff. And Scott's hosting a free open house in his VTF next week. The link is down in the description below. Link is down in the description below.
And by the way, if you see my head turning like a head on a swivel, because I am trading, it is 305 and markets just kind of took a little bit of a turn. So if you want to see here on the chart, if you put the chart up, I just want to make sure that we don't sell this news. Look at that size of this, wide range candle here. Could you see that, Michael?
Yep.
So if you're an active trader, you're like, all right, we've been pretty steady all day. And now we just kind of pulled in pretty hard. One candle just took back pretty much since 12 o'clock. What is it? 3 hours in one candle. Sometimes that's a little powerful. So you just want to make sure, you protect yourself a little bit, but that's just, active trading here.
Okay. So obviously, Scott, so the big story is we've come like 17% off those April 7th lows. Like, do you think it's too far, too fast?
I sold 50% of the blood in the street account yesterday. Unfortunately, not today, but it was fine. You look at where we were from, 481 here to resistance to your higher level. We punched through it. So I figured yesterday was a good day to take off half just in case all of a sudden in the next month or two, we start really feeling what happened because of the tariffs, not just all the rhetoric. So from here down, that was 21%. I think we came 16% or so off those lows. So I thought it was a good spot. We've been eating through a lot of these moving averages. So you don't want to just have short in the brain. But I also just think you have to be a little careful now. The oscillator is plus 80. Usually you're plus 40, you're overbought. So at plus 80, you got to be that much more careful. And if you just showed the virtual trading floor, like I'm, threading the needle or trying to, where I'm in stuff that I think still has room and the pattern is okay, but I'm shorting, the 572 calls for next week. I got up to $1.50, and for today I'm short the 565s and 567s. So I'm trying to like thread this needle here, where the spies right now, if we get a close around 565, it's like I'm like right smack in the middle, which I'm playing the middle, which probably doesn't happen, but if it does, that'd be pretty cool. And then there's still some things that look like they have room and some things that aren't as overbought as the overall market. So you just have to be a little bit more specific and a little bit careful and not fall asleep behind the wheel. And I do think that a lot of this has been all mechanical and emotional. But at this point, yes, there's room to 576-ish, but we are overbought. You just have to, take a step back and definitely know your time frame.
Okay. Do you get any sense that the market, so it seems like the US and China starting to play footsie under the table a little bit.
Footsie under the table? What's that? I got a date, like you're playing footsie at a sushi restaurant with the girl you're taking out?
It's when you're saying something without saying something. So, I mean, so do you think like the market is already pricing in like some kind of positive? I mean, do you like, okay, so hypothetically, let's say Monday morning we walk in and Trump and Xi said we're buddies again, and whatever compromise. Do you think we could get a sell the news on that?
We might, but like, do we get to sell the news at 576, or do they open us up, and at 4:45 in the morning, the futures are up 60, and by the time you walk in, they're up 20, and by the time 9:30 happens, they're down 40. I don't know. Like I've seen everything. I've been in this business for 25 plus years, and I've seen they're trying to sell the news a little bit now, but they're having a little bit of a hard time because there's some things that just still look like they can go higher. Like Meta. They tried to sell it down yesterday, and then they trapped those sellers who thought, "Hey, I'm going to be cute, sell the solid report," and they got screwed today. And 740 to here, Meta still looks like it can go higher. Microsoft, they sold it down, closed on the dead lows. Everyone's like, "I'm shorting the hell out of Microsoft." I'm like, Microsoft hasn't done anything in a year and a half. But anyway, then they opened it up. And if you take a little, real step back, where is Microsoft? It's nowhere. So some of these things have been nowhere for a while. They're not as overbought as like a Palantir, which is very overbought, but it's been the leader of all leaders. Like, are you going to take Palantir into an all-time high for numbers on Monday? I'm not. Were we here, Mike? Where would we do the power play? This was a great power play. Let's do a shameless power play plug right here, because we were buying Palantir in here when the market wasn't as strong, when this was showing relative strength, and I think we played it up into the 116 area, right? Was it right in here?
Yeah, from 93 up to 113.
Not a bad little trade where we tell you what to do. And now it's like right smack at the all-time high. I think you got to be crazy to be short, and it's not that compelling long going into what needs to be a awesome report. But there are some names like this, and there are some names that are just, like Tesla. A lot. Like Tesla looks like just a solid lower level, pattern where you have this lower level channel. It's trying to put in a bull flag. This thing better not fall apart right now, otherwise I'm going to be pissed. Looks like it's trying to get above 294 to get to 325-ish. So this doesn't look like Palantir, right? It doesn't look like Dash, which has been absolutely fantastic. We were another power play of ours, I think, from somewhere below 185, and now look at that on its way to the highs. So not everything is that overbought, and some things technically look okay, but the overall S&P is kind of overbought in itself.
It's a fun fact about Palantir. So in 6 of the last 8 quarters, it rallied more than 20% after earnings.
But what about how much did they rally into the earnings?
I don't know how much into, but like the one-day reactions, it's like that. It's either crashing or it's flying after earnings, and lately it's been mostly flying.
All right, so we'll see how it goes. Right now, if I was short, I'd be shaking. I don't shake that much, and if I was like in it as an investor, I just would be like selling covered calls or doing something to just mitigate the risk, because it's right back here. So it's a tough spot. If it was right here ahead of earnings, I'd be loaded to the gills. Right here at the highs, when it seems like the market's so overbought, it's a tricky spot in my opinion.
Okay, all right. So let's talk about another big topic, gold. So a couple of weeks ago, Scott was out saying gold is done. For a while, gold was by far the number one asset of 2025. It was up like nearly 30% at the highs. So Scott, what made you say enough's enough? The gold bugs. Scott Redler personally squashed the gold bugs. He had enough of their.
Don't say that. I don't. I have a lot of friends that are gold bugs. I always say I'd rather have a 6-pack of Sam Adams and a pie of pizza if the world was going to end versus a bar of gold. But I guess you could use the bar of gold to knock someone over the head and steal their pizza and their beer. But I don't eat pizza and beer anymore anyway, so maybe gold is better. But anyway, if you look here at the chart, look how extended we were from the 8-day, and every single person in the world was talking about it. I think even Trump said, "He who owns gold wins." So anyway, I just thought it was extended. I look at my sell rules. You sell into strength. Doesn't hold a prior high, you get out of it. Right there, I started buying puts, and that's when I said to Michael, I'm like, I think this could be a good put play, and this outside candle happened, and then he's like, well, do you want to call it a top of the year? I'm like, let's just call it top for now. And PS, it worked its way lower, and it was a great trade. More importantly, my brother has been buying physical gold for like 5 years, and so has my friend Peter. And this day I was like, hey guys, you got to friggin' sell some up here. I don't care how much you love it, this and that. You want to go into like the weekly charts and see how far gold has come. It's time to ring the register, you know, and they did. So I got a lot of my friends who are a lot bigger than me out of it, and you know, or hedged, and now it's on its way down towards probably this 8-day, and even today, kind of, you know, opened up and it was sold, and you know, it could work its way down to here before it's all done. But I did take my puts off. My puts, I bought them at 2, sold them at 4, bought them back at 90 cents, sold them at 4 and change, and it wound up being a really good trade for the entire community, and nobody chased it, which is even more important. So I think it was a great call. It was a great call. I tend to have really good calls at crazy inflection points throughout the history of my career.
Okay, then let's talk about another one, Scott. Since it's Red Dog Cellar. Yeah, we really are going to mark the top right now. Bitcoin. So Bitcoin is kind of the unsung hero of the last month. IBIT is up almost 20%. And it was sort of, you know, we had this like decoupling thing, and then it wasn't decoupled, but it's been ripping like crazy. So what's the story with Bitcoin here?
Well, where do we put it on as I think we had it on as an option power play and the ETF power play.
Both.
And, it was right in here. It was like right in here, right when it was going sideways. It was trying to take out the downtrend. I was just really hyper focused on it. We've had $50 IBT calls, and we had 51 calls, and it just wound up turning out into a really good play. And I'm happy that we stayed with it. I'm the smallest I am right now. Like, you guys want to talk about, okay, well, that was then, this is now. Stop touting the crap out of all the things you did back in the day. Let's get some value now. You know, I do think this is a chart of Bitcoin. This is when we were hyper focused on it. Nice move, held the 8-day. It's got a room to 99, but I'm a lot smaller right here. I would be smaller in Mister. And for some reason, these guys from GME, they're just not smart. You know, like, I would think they would come out and say about how much of the Bitcoin they bought, because literally Bitcoin, when they started buying with their balance sheet, was below 80, and now we're like at 97. You got to believe they made a lot of money. So people want to hear what they're doing. I think they started buying all in here. That's when they announced that they could use their $5 billion that they used from every ATM that they had. And I don't know. So I think GME is interesting. I have options on. That's it. Because the stock trades like sugar honey iced tea, if you know what that means.
We're Scott, we're men. We're allowed to say dirty words on here.
Oh, hell yeah. Trades like shit. Excuse my French.
It's listen.
Not really French.
Listen, if it's the best way to describe it, why would we not just say it?
Yes. True. But anyway, let's get away from GME. I don't even want to talk about that. Look what Mister did. Mister had a great move right into, this was the ultimate target, 400. And look, this is when Bitcoin was hovering around 86K, and this started leading the way again. I didn't play it as much as I could have or should have, but if you did, I would be reducing into this 400. This is a pretty big level. If it gets through there, the next level is right here, which that means we're probably above 100,000 in Bitcoin, if that happens.
All right, let's talk about something more important, Scott. How is Phoenix doing? We haven't had a Phoenix the puppy update. We saw she's riding in the car, and is she starting to run yet?
Not yet. You can't really take a puppy in the reservation until the puppy's like 10, 12 months old. You don't want to screw up their hips, because she's only 38 pounds. I got her at 8 pounds, and she's probably going to 60 pounds. So I don't want to mess that up. You don't want to screw up the knees, the hips. Same thing happens with Rottweilers too. But anyway, she's doing great. She actually she brings me a shoe like Cadence used to do. She loves the water. She loves playing with dogs. Like, she's really made it very much easier for me in the transition between Cadence and not having a dog to her. And she's awesome. That doesn't mean I don't love Cadence and miss Cadence, but Phoenix is it's great for Chase too, because Chase doesn't remember Cadence, because he was 5 when we got her, so he never had Cadence as a puppy. So he's experiencing Phoenix as a puppy as an older 16-year-old. So they're going to have a very special bond. So if you're thinking about getting a dog for the family, 1,000% you should.
Do you ever think about bringing her to the office?
Phoenix? I brought Cadence to the office a few times. You have a picture of me. Cadence is right here in the office.
I've never seen a picture of Cadence in the office, but I was wondering if she could be like an emotional support dog. Like if it's Fed Day or it's NVIDIA earnings, maybe a calming presence could help all the traders in the office. What do you think?
I don't think so. I think Phoenix will eat the wires. And I'll be like, where are you? I'm like, Phoenix. You guys get mad at me.
Yeah, I wonder if we'd have to explain that to compliance. Like what happened? Why did all the power go out? And it's because a dog. We should find out.
Through the wires.
Is it allowed to have a dog on the trading floor?
It's not registered. If you're going to be on the trading floor, you need to be registered. You have to. I don't think Phoenix could take the series, whatever the series is.
All right. So what else is on your mind in this market, Scott? We have the Fed coming. Earnings season is a lot of the big boys are out of the way. We have Palantir Monday. NVIDIA's in a few weeks. What are you looking at now?
I'm a little upset at this Tesla right now. Like, I thought it was going to get above this area and hold it. It's still very hard. Like Tesla right now is at 289. It just pulled back. You want to look at doesn't seem like much. Like, oh well, Tesla's up $8. I'm like, okay. If you're a trader, you know what I'm talking about. Basically looked like it was holding up all day and then just broke this spot right here. I'm hoping that this could at some point get above the 200-day and give you a real trade besides, selling strength and buying a dip. This should hold right here. If this doesn't hold, I'll be pissed. But anyway, I've been playing Google since earnings. Google has been good. Google was something I haven't really looked at in a quarter or so. And Google, we took an option play and it acted well. Nice little move back to the post earnings high. I think Google is something you could watch, and I think it's going to take this out at some point. Could get through these levels. But here is your red dog reversal after your sell the news. I kind of think Amazon's going to take a little bit of time, but Amazon could be okay. It's hanging out in here. I think Jeff is selling his friggin' stock that he has to sell after an earnings move, even though it wasn't up much. And him and McKenzie, they'll sell their stock. They'll give to their charities, and then maybe we can go from 192 to 206 in the next few weeks. So we'll see. It's got to hold this spot, but it's not great. It's a tough spot. It's a tough spot to be short, tough spot to be long. I'm trying to thread the needle. I would not take Palantir, to be honest, into numbers. I just think it's really hard one way or another. It's not a great setup. If you're long it for a year or two, stay long it. You weathered a lot of storms. You're making a lot of money. I think Baba's got some room. Baba could see 129-ish. This was your money move, and now it looks higher. I think JD could still go higher. I'm in JD and I'm in JD calls. Why can't this get to 35 or so? Maybe even higher. I think we have that on as power play.
Scott, we're getting some questions. So our friend Hardiman is asking about Netflix. So Netflix is at the highs of the day. It's looked overheated for a little while. What do you think of this one?
Just because you sold it early doesn't mean it's a short. Well, I know a lot of guys out there that are fighting this thing short. It's turning into a pain trade. Sometimes it's a setup. Right here was a setup. Right here through 1064 was a setup. And now there's just no setup. It's just trending. So either stay with it or stop it. Stop it. People are shorting this thing and they're getting hurt and they're closing their eyes and they have no control and they're miserable. If you're miserable because you're short Netflix, cover it and move on. You'll see some kind of topping tail. You'll see some kind of relative weakness. Right now, you're not seeing sugar honey iced tea. I'm sorry. I wouldn't buy it up here, but it doesn't mean it's a short. There were ways to play it long, and that was, versed 998. I remember we did it for dog bites. I'm like, you guys could be long, verse 1032 and add through 1064. And then that happened.
How about
a question about Apple? Should we talk about Apple?
Yeah, of course. Apple's always a big one.
Apple, I said if it breaks 206, it could see 202. Well, look at the Quinky Dink. It went to 202. So I just think it's kind of a range-bound trade. Nothing so interesting here. You have 214, you have 202. It's in the middle is 206-ish now. It's going to need some time to prove that, hey, they could produce in India. They could produce, and I have my iPhone. It's the iPhone Pro. There's Chase Selena and me. Anyway, I've thought about upgrading it. I haven't had to upgrade it yet. Maybe at some point I have to. But bottom line is I just think that it's a great company, and it's still trying to work off its PE, and it's kind of like the S&P. Sometimes it's a little bit better, sometimes it's a little bit worse. Right now, it's just kind of like smack in the middle.
All right, Scott, I just want to go on the record that I told Scott a couple months ago he needs to replace his phone before it
Oh,
break. And if you don't have it backed up, Scott, especially, you need to get it replaced ASAP. All right,
okay.
our friend
I will.
Angelo in the chat is asking us, so a stock that has everybody in this community very, very excited, Hims, which has
Hims.
been
Yeah. Hims, you
raging
could have
wild.
missed you could have missed this first move where they gapped up where a lot of guys were in it, and they sold it right here. Technically, it got above that prior high. It's on its way. A lot of room here. Hims looks good. I'm not in it. I don't know a lot about it, but I know everyone on the Alpha team likes it, or they've been talking about it, even the 630 club, and it looks good. Nothing to nothing. It's above all the moving averages. News could happen. I don't do a deep dive in this thing. I'm just telling you, technically, it looks really good. Where maybe you didn't know what was going on, and it gapped up into resistance and got rejected. Held the moving averages, and right here was your trigger buy, and it looks really good.
Okay, how about Scott, Robinhood? Because I feel like in the last few months, people have started talking about Robinhood like it's a classic blue chip growth stock.
Huh. Well, you know what? They are a little innovative. They came out with the trading overnight. They like to trade crypto. They have a lot of people that trade on their platform. I think it's better than other names. It acts well. It reversed. It's above. It's trying to get above the 8-day. I didn't like the way it acted post earnings, but some of these things, like look at Meta post earnings, they sold it down and then trapped everybody. I think Robinhood should be on every trader's radar. I'm going to start charting it a little bit more, and maybe I'll even start trading a little bit more.
All right. So related to the topic, this whole round the clock trading thing, it almost feels like destiny. We're moving towards 24/7 trading of everything. Would you rather just have it the way it is now?
Would I rather? I'm not in charge, but I will say, every bunch of years things change. I remember 2002 when we went to decimals from fractions. Everyone thought the world would end. It didn't end. You could still trade. Like everyone always thinks that it gets so hard. Oh, I don't want to be up all night. This and that. I think that if you want to be up all night, there's probably a lot of non-professional traders that are going to be trading overnight on Robinhood, on Schwab, whatever. And there's emotional moves. I remember the other night when there was news that potentially the board wanted to oust Musk. I tweeted it, like you could even show it at like 9:59. I'm like, guys, stop! Don't be on Robinhood, and you shouldn't be selling your Twitter, or not your Twitter, your Tesla because of this Wall Street Journal article. And then it was down 12. I woke up, it was up $1.15. It's up a lot more than that. So you got to pick and choose your battles. I know for me, I'm up at 4:45. I'm an early morning content guy. I try and put together my note for Rather All Access. I tried to get 40 charts up there for the Alpha team, so which you guys could see if you want to tune into the open house, and just be ready and trade and not be a shell of myself. I know if I traded futures, it'd be hard to go to sleep, and then I'd be up for 22 hours, and I'd be sleeping for 2, and I wouldn't be myself. So you got to figure out what makes yourself tick, what hours you want to work, where you want to live, what's your niche. And it's going to change a little bit as the market changes. And as of right now, you just got to be, you have to be flexible. I used to make 90% of my living between like 9:15 and 11 o'clock, because that's where you have these gaps and you could see relative strength, you could see relative weakness, you could use the daily charts. And now it seems like the timing of the days are different because people are trading more than when the market opens. So just be aware and adjust and learn what's happening, how it's happening, when it's happening, and then you could trade whether or not we're open 24 hours or not. But it seems like it's going that way, which I don't love. I don't love it. I'll be honest. I don't love the fact that that's happening, but it is what it is.
It would be nice if like options trading went to like 5 p.m. or maybe opened in the morning at 8 a.m. because like it sucks. Like when you,
Well, That's different. That's different. People get really mad, like when all of a sudden, stock's up 7 points at 7:15, and people want to sell their options and they can't sell to 9:30, But then you could buy and sell stocks all day long. Like the option specialist might want to figure that out, what they could do to give a little bit more time, versus opening at 9:30 and closing at 4. I feel like the options guys need to figure that out. If the market's going to be open, people are trading a lot more 24 hours a day. To be honest, I think that the option guys got to figure it out on how they could be open better hours. And you could send that to the CBOE from the Red Dog.
I mean that would, if they expanded option hours, I think that would make me buy stocks like Robinhood like crazy, because I think the options people would be going wild when there's like earnings reports and stuff. But maybe, I don't know, maybe we shouldn't have too many weapons. Like maybe it just, I don't know, like if it, it's like the more we get, I think the more bad ideas people can come up with, and I suspect people would want to gamble more.
Right, and the stock market's not a casino, which I've told David Portnoy many times. Guy's a degenerate. Sorry, I know you like him. You don't like him. You like me more. Do you like him? You don't like him?
Yeah. Like, oh yeah. Absolutely. I find him tremendously entertaining. And
right, but some people aren't as smart, But anyway, I get it. He's funny. Yeah. Listen, he works. He's a worker. He works hard. Sometimes he does really great things, and sometimes he doesn't realize that he's, taking people to an end of the cliff and doesn't think they're going to jump, and they friggin' jump because he jumps and he has a parachute, and some of these kids don't. But anyway.
Yeah, I'm personally not a big fan of sports gambling.
It's an epidemic. These kids, I've known kids that are one step away who tried to commit suicide because they started gambling. They think it's so easy, the glorification of gambling from all the sites, easeability. And I know people have to learn their lesson, but sometimes, you're too young to learn what that could do to you. And then it creates an addiction. An addiction is hard to stop. So anyway, I think gambling is an addiction for the youth of America, and it's glorified, and there's not enough people talking about it. And that's why I had a basic problem when I, went back and forth for a while. But, it is what it is. We're not going to talk about it. Unless you want to talk about it some more.
Well, okay. I suspect, Scott, you want to talk about it more, but well,
no, I don't want to talk about it anymore, because I could have gone back and forth and with him a bunch of times. I'm just like, you know what? It's not worth it.
All right. Well, let's talk about something a little related. Who do you think is going to win the NBA Finals?
Yeah. Oh, the NBA Finals. That I don't know. All I know is the Knicks friggin' were awesome last night. Brunson's a maniac. Guy's like 6'1", 6'2". He's hitting off. He's like getting pounded and like completing floaters and layups, and that three at the end of the game. He wants the ball. He's giving hope to every 6'1", 6'2" point guard in the world that it can be done, because some people think, you got to be 6'6", 6'9" to be in the NBA or to play college hoops, and I don't think that's true. But it's good basketball right now. I'm going to try and go to I think it's, Knicks Celtics. I'm going to definitely take Chase to one of those games.
Yeah, our friend Bobby 4.0, he has a hot take. He's saying we should make video games max 2 hours a day or just get rid of them. Boys don't even want to chase girls anymore. Statistically, Bobby is 100% correct. Young people are less likely than ever to get driver's licenses, to have sex, to do drugs, to drink. I'm not saying any of these things are good or bad, but people are infantilizing themselves more and more as time goes on.
I don't want to entertain that subject. Somebody just said Nike popped. You guys want to take a look at Nike? Let's go to that for a second.
Could there be tariff news on Nike? That's possible.
Yeah, Nike just had some volume. So what I would do is I punch it up first real quickly, and I see, oh wow, just got above the almost the high of the day, big volume right there. Then you go to the daily chart and you see, oh wow, it's got some room to this gap. So, it's a candidate for whatever the news is. I don't know what the news is, but pretty interesting. That's how I would quickly.
There's people talking about tariffs. I'm not sure if it's anything new specifically related to this. Anybody out there in the chat, if you know what's going on with Nike right now, let us know. I'm seeing CNBC saying Nike, Adidas, and others ask Trump for tariff exemption.
Why should they get tariff reject?
Listen,
it's one thing. Like I know my friends in the eye optical where they're like, you know what percentage of individuals wear glasses out there, and they needed to see, they needed to drive, they needed, for everyday life. You don't need a Nike friggin' pair of sneakers, But anyway, that's
funny you should say that. I disagree with that, because there are some people. I mean, Nike's done a lot of brand damage over the last few years, but
I'm just saying, you don't what's the average, cost of a pair of Nikes? Like, you can get other pair of sneakers that aren't as expensive. Like, that's like, why don't we just, I don't know. I'm not going to get into that whole thing. But anyway, it's 3:34. Market's definitely a little testy right now as we go into the weekend. I got to hang out with the Alpha team, which you guys could be for free next week, and hang out the whole week and figure out what I want to do into the close here. I'm having a good day, and it's been a tricky week. So I just want to make sure that I'm focused here. As much as I love you all, I got to go.
All right, folks. All right, Scott, we'll let you go. Scott, everybody say thank you to Scott Redler for taking time out of his busy day to hang with us. And make sure you click the link down. Scott, you can take yourself out. But yeah, guys,
okay.
There's a link down below. If you want to get free access to Scott's room next week, click the link down below, enter your email, and you'll get access to the Alpha Team VTF for all of next week. We hope you have an amazing weekend. Bobby 4.0. Bobby is the MVP of the day. Thank you very much, Bobby. And is this the Dan Loeb? We'll see. All right, guys. Have a great weekend.